I can always hear a Rancid song, even those Operation Ivy songs, and hear the intuitive thought behind the way Matt Freeman storyboards his bass lines. He builds them a certain way. He puts technicality in some subtle places and then keeps it really melodic and soaring in others. Just an amazing player. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Bloodclot is from Rancid's fourth studio album, Life Won't Wait, released in 1998, and this album came right on the heels of And Out Come the Wolves, which was the very first full album analysis I did over on Patreon exactly 1 year ago, just about. It was episode number 1. And as seemingly beloved as that album is within Rancid's fan base, I constantly see comments about this album, Life Won't Wait, being super different from all the others. Even reading here, it states the cooperation of numerous Jamaican reggae artists is very distinctive on this album, not just in the vocals, but in the instrumental parts, which makes Life Won't Wait very different from most of the other Rancid releases. And something else very cool about this is that on my last Rancid video, someone asked Matt Freeman directly which track I should do from this album. And as much as I wanted to take his request for Backslide, especially being intrigued seeing his James Jamerson Duck Dunn approach and playing fingerstyle, I'm going to have to go with the top voted track over on Patreon last month. Thanks to Nate for requesting this one and for everyone else for voting it up. So without further ado, here's my first time hearing Bloodclot doing the music video today from Rancid. Gritty.
Listen to the record. Do you feel the same? It don't get any better. Going backwards again. Swing the fist, wax stitches in the face.
Bass is loud.
Right
on. So what's funny is this is actually the first video I've seen of Rancid. I think the only real video I've seen is the live version of Matt playing Maxwell Murder. I remember watching that to learn that solo for an older video, but don't really know what any of the other guys look like. So another much younger here. And this does have a bit of a different sound. You know, I don't have enough context to really comment on that, but what I do remember when I reviewed And Out Come the Wolves is that it had a lot of that Rancid sound I've come to know, just their frantic, angsty, energetic sound. But there were some songs on that album I'm like, this is much more reggae and ska than I would have thought. So this album coming afterward, I imagine that was their chance to just lean into that sound. I've had people on Patreon tell me that this was really inspired by The Clash. They were big fans, so I think that was just kind of a natural evolution in their discography, and I'm still working through it. Bass is real loud, and despite Matt saying he played with his fingers on Backslide and maybe some other tracks, this does sound like it was still picked. It's got his signature galloping that kind of happens in random places. I think it just pummels a lot of energy through an otherwise, you know, eighth note based bass line, which is totally fine. But he puts in those little and it just beefs it up. I'm gonna go back to when this started. There's a cool guitar thing happening here. Right here. You know, in a lot of music, the bass would be mixed more like that guitar part, and then the guitar part would be more up front. I just love in this genre and scene how I can always count on the bass just being right there. But what I'm talking about is this vocal-like guitar lead. You wouldn't call it a solo. You wouldn't really call it a riff, but it's kind of complementing and elevating the vocals. It's almost in the same register. I wouldn't say it's quite in unison, but it's got this it's got this kind of articulation that makes it very vocal-like. And it just kind of makes that vocal track thicken up and sound a bit more playful. It's just something I noticed right out of the gate because from what Rancid I've heard, there is a lot of imaginative, interesting approaches on guitar in some of the songs. I've kind of known that about them reviewing And Out Come the Wolves, and we did Operation Ivy, which I know is a little different. So I'm getting my head around their sound. Okay, we're hearing F. Digga-dun-dun, digga-dun-dun, digga-dun-dun. Never been like them within society. Pride protects, revealing the banality. Now my guns are blazing. Bloodclot, I can see great That's groovy. Cool. So just trying to find the tonal center here. We start off in this, it almost sounds like a C pentatonic, but I think it's really based around F with just a flat 7. So it's got that F mixolydian sound. So if I just play the F major scale and flat the 7, that's kind of the sound we're playing with. So I think it's more of that mixolydian sound, which really puts it in B flat, which makes sense because we go to this chorus part. It's based on D minor, so they lean into the darker sound for the chorus. And back to the F. And I made this exact comment when I also reviewed the full Operation Ivy Energy album, is that sometimes I notice Matt will play in unison with the guitar part, but add things that aren't there in the guitar part. And the way those two work together with the bass mixed equally as loud always, but sometimes a bit louder, the guitar-bass chemistry is very unique. Usually the bass player is the one that kind of simplifies and does an abridged version of the riff. It's the other way around in this band with these guys. I just love the energy that adds from a rhythm section standpoint. Okay, and here's the chorus. Out of it, verse 2.
So don't you even bother. Who am I to blame? 'Cause when I listen to the record, do you feel the same? Don't get any better. Going backwards again.
Cool.
Read your words, I read your better of her. Well, I kick my way in and seem to push it all up. Well, a touch shot against the walls are faded. I climb from the depths of hell.
Right there, you hear the guitar just going. And even if there is a bit more of that rhythmic matching in the guitar part, you just don't hear it like you do in the bass. And the way he's building this bass line, verse into the pre-chorus and chorus, I love how it starts with a groovier kind of... And then it picks up. Then he adds in those diddles. So just smart ways to build energy as a bass player, all demonstrated perfectly right here. D minor.
Bloodclot, I can see gray sexter. Now my guns are blazing. Picking back
It's so melodic.
and starting all over again. Hey! Oh! Hey!
Hear that one more time.
Guns are blazing. The walls are fading. I climb from the depths of hell unscathed. Now my guns are blazing. Bloodclot, I can see gray sexter. Now my guns are blazing. Picking back up and starting all over again. Hey!
Like that too, B flat C. Your ear wants to go back to the D minor where we've been on the chorus. But really, it's just 4/5 and back to the 1. So going between D minor and C major, and just what a bold sort of melody, almost a counter melody to put behind the chorus vocal melody. It's just epic. Putting it on the upbeats. It just sings. It has a singable quality to it. And as crazy as I've heard Matt play, he has the ultimate balance of melodic when it needs to be, because he could easily have just shredded something there, because I've heard him shred bass lines like that and choruses like this, but he puts the more technical stuff in the verses, just making it a bit more gallopy, saves the singing melodic stuff for the chorus. It's just smart bass line writing. Going to the B flat. It's just a catchy bass part. What else can you say about it? Back to F. Cool octave thing there. What a switch up. That was out of nowhere in the coolest way possible. I just want to hear it again. It's just a cool, unexpected little switch up. I thought this was going to be a very A-B kind of song with great bass playing, but they surprised me on the bridge here. Pretty cool. Total vibe shift. How cool. Woo. You can just hear that tone. It's so hi-fi for its time. It's got this glassy quality to it, especially in those notes. Little chromatic walk up. Hear it one more time. I love sections like this when you can just hear it naked. You just feel the power of it even when it's isolated. Okay. Oh, little walk up. Yeah. One more time, because it has a really catchy phrasing. Yeah, the last part. Woo. Bloodclot. Oh yeah. Well, I can see 360. I can see all around me. I like the way it plays with the tom fills. Kind of listening to the drum part behind it and see how those two work together as well. Whole different feel. Well, I can see 360. Kind of lock it in with those tom rolls. I can see all around me. Oh yeah. Cool. Well, that's my introduction into their Life Won't Wait era sound. Not really sure how long this stylistic thing permeated throughout their catalog. I hear it's sort of a one-off album that was really different, and I'm excited to hear it. I'm sure we'll be hearing this soon on Patreon. There's a lot of members over there excited about this album. I hear about it all the time, and I think it's going to be one that sticks out for me as well, and here's why. When I listened to And Out Come the Wolves, it was the first punk album I had really sat down and put under the microscope. I loved so many things about it, but there were a lot of things about it that I just didn't really grab me at first. It was kind of a lukewarm reception, and that was early on in me getting into punk, so I think now I would appreciate it more. It's been about exactly 1 year, but I do remember hearing that album and going, I want to hear more of this type of song. Some of the songs on there were just, they didn't sound like Rancid or what I thought Rancid would sound like, and some highlights from it were Ruby Soho, Time Bomb, Old Friend, I think was one of my favorites. They were just different from the rest of that album. And I feel like this album might be where I get more of that. So nonetheless, I'm finding my way through their catalog, but thanks to Nate and all of you over there on Patreon for voting this one up. It was a really fun one. I can always hear a Rancid song, even those Operation Ivy songs, and hear the intuitive thought behind the way Matt Freeman storyboards his bass lines. He builds them a certain way. He puts technicality in some subtle places and then keeps it really melodic and soaring in others. Just an amazing player. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to come participate in all this madness and join our community, come find us over on Patreon. It is the #1 way to support the channel. I do full album reactions. I have bass lessons, music theory lessons, and just tons of stuff over there. So come hang out. And if you enjoyed this, please make sure you are subscribed. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.